I'd like to welcome everyone to the workshop of service or just in service. Today we have two speakers, Keith C. and Karen M., who are here to share their experience, strength, and hope. And with that, which one are you going first? Karen will share.
Hi, my name's Karen, and I'm an addict.
Hi, Karen.
It's really nice to be asked to share my experience, strength, and hope on a topic that I'm pretty well adversed with, and it's good to be clean today. It's good to be at the convention today, and it's a good day. Let's see. So, of service or just in service? It took me a minute to kind of take a look at what was it saying, what was it really behind this, topic, and I'm just kind of going to go into, well, my version of what it means is, am I being of service to someone else, being selfless, or am I just in service for the recognition? So I'm just going to share my experience with being in service and the different things that I've done throughout my recovery, and I can see where sometimes it was just for the recognition, but most of the time it was because I wanted to serve others and stay clean. So I got clean back in '86, and back then, I mean, everybody wanted to be in service, and there was, when I first got clean, I heard about area service, so I went, and we had a lot of, like 3 or 4 people running for every position there was. The area that caught my attention was helpline, so I decided, well, I'm gonna try out and see if I can't be at helpline. I was in treatment for a while, so I was 3 months clean, and they had at 3 months clean, they didn't have any positions open. Now we're talking every 4 hours, every day, there was a person that took the phones, because back then we had beepers. We didn't have cell phones and stuff. So, it was like where I stayed at home and did this service. They didn't have one opening. So, we're talking 20, 30 people that was involved in helpline at that time. So, okay, so the 4th month I came to area, but I had relapsed prior to the area, so I didn't have enough clean time. And then it was like, okay, I had 3 months clean again, and I wanted to try out, and they changed it to 6 months clean. So let me tell you, I was 9-10 months trying to get a service position, which was my first service position, and then I became secretary of the helpline, and now it kind of all fits in with public relations. But back then, everything was so new, and it was growing so big, and recovery was just happening. And one of the things that it helped me do, that specific service position, was I wanted to be where the action was. I was afraid I was going to miss something, so I was always out. And I never wanted to stay at home. So this service position made me stay home Thursday nights. My shift was 8 to midnight. So Thursday nights was my night at home by myself. And it really allowed me to start to work on me and be okay with me, and not to have to be around other people to be okay with me. And then I joined, because of my behavior before getting into recovery, I had real issues with women. You either took my drugs, or took my men, or were competition. So I really didn't have much to do with women. And my first home group was a women's meeting. And I learned in that women's meeting how to be of service to other women. I mean, I would be so proud. And this is where, was I doing it to help you, or was it for the recognition? At this point, it was for the recognition, because there were people with 3 and 4 years clean time, and I wanted what they had, and I set the chairs up in the circle, and I made the coffee, and the compliments. When I get a compliment, it was like, oh yeah. And then a girl with a lot of clean time would say, good job, Karen, or it's good to see you, Karen, or I'm like, oh, she remembers my name. That kind of stuff it's really important for a newcomer to be recognized. And, that was one of the reasons that I did a lot of that service at that point in my recovery. Then I became the GSR of that group, and I am in bookkeeping and accounting, so I'm real good at doing treasurer stuff and different things like that. So, I was very involved at my home group level. Also back then, at 6 months clean, people were sponsoring people that had 2 or 3 months clean, because there wasn't a lot of women with a lot of recovery. So sponsorship was a big part, and has always been a big part of my recovery and of giving of service. And that is such a selfless, but yet the rewards that come back to me is huge, beyond what I ever would dream of sponsoring people. So then Unity Weekend was there. I got clean in South Dade, and Unity Weekend was there to unite the Spanish-speaking people and the English-speaking people and create unity amongst the two speaking communities. Well, Unity Weekend won. She's now a dear friend of mine. We have the same amount of clean time, and I would have never ever met her had it not been for being in service with her. She was the chair and I was the treasurer of Unity Weekend 1, and the communication and the being in service for that was just because I knew treasurer stuff. And she didn't know a lot of English and I didn't know a lot of Spanish, but here it is 27, 28, 29 years, 28 years later, I don't know how many, about 25 years later, we're still best of friends. That to me, when you get into service and it becomes, what can I do for the other community? What can I do for the other person? What can I do for the other human being that wants to be a part of this fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous? That was a bonus. Cecilia and I are just, we still see each other today, and we're miles away from each other. Then Unity Weekend 2, we decided, because another person was going to get involved and be chair, neither one of us wanted to be a part of it. So, here we go with, well, I'm not going to serve because I don't want to be in this personality of this other person. So then that was the selfish, principles before personalities, where it's not there. Didn't want to be a part of it. And then Unity Weekend 3, she decided not to be a part of anymore, so then I was chair and Cecilia was treasurer. So, it kind of, during one of those convention preparing for the convention, the meeting, we had it at my house. Well, literally a fight happened. Knock down, drag out, fist fight. And it was like, well, that's why we really don't have meetings at people's houses, because of it was insane. It was insane. And, it's best to meet at a common area, a common place, wherever that might be. So that was an experience I was not ready for. We were all kind of calm until this one situation happened, and but then I remember being in an area where people threw chairs across the room. People were just, it was just really rough back in the 80s, where people didn't really know a lot of how to run a meeting, and it was so young. I became one of the 2 or 3 of the most important things for me about taking a service position is, if you take a service position, take it for the term of the service position, and I do truly believe in the alternate, or they have different vice chair, alternate, different words they've used throughout the years. I was assistant treasurer for a year, and then I was treasurer for 2 years of the South Dade area. I was vice chair of the area, and I was chair of the area for a period of 2 or 3 years. You know, it's something that when you take a position, when I take a position, I'm in it for the term that I've taken it for, and it's so important. Right now, I am the alternate treasurer of the Georgia region, and it's going to be a good 2 or 3 year term position, and I'm okay with it. That's what I have made as my commitment. You know, I'm the treasurer of my home group. That's the, you know, we just re-upped a new, you know, year of service, and I agreed to do it again. The hardest one to keep was I was chair of South Dade area, and my history, I had almost 10 years clean, and for a few years my husband at that time and I had been wanting to have children for a long, long time, and we tried and tried and tried, and we had about 2 weeks notice before my daughter came into our lives. So I was chair of the area, and all of a sudden we had a brand new baby. And, you know, for 8 months, the term got up in August, and she was born in January. So I had 8 months of keeping my position, because that's what the commitment that I made, and I did, you know. And then from 10 years until this young lady over here got me involved in area service in North Atlanta. And I don't know how I got swung into that, but then all of a sudden, you know, I'm back in service for the last 3 or 4 years, you know, committed. And but my kids now, from 10 years clean until about, 3 or 4 years ago, my service was about my kids. You know, and to me, that's a big part of service. You know, it doesn't have to be service of Narcotics Anonymous, service of a community that you belong to. I know, you know, there's a few of us that are very involved in other, you know, spiritual organizations, and being involved in that service. So let's see. I'm not done with my experience in that area. I believe sponsorship, steps, service, and staying clean is like the foundation of how to get a better life and how to become a better person. And so to me, I'm always involved in service in some way or another. And let me tell you, right now, I just gave up my North Atlanta area treasurer's position. It's finished. And if I didn't have my service position at my home group, sometimes I wouldn't go to the home group if I didn't have something, if I didn't want to. But because I have a service commitment, it keeps me staying in my meeting. So, you know, if you want to stay clean and you want to stay in the middle and make yourself have to go to a meeting for some reason or another, a service commitment will keep me there. You know, that's what works for me. And thanks for letting me share.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Keith?
My name's Keith. I'm an addict.
Hey, Keith.
All right, so service. It's pretty important because they put it on our medallion. So a lot like Karen. I mean, my first exposure to service was in my home group, and we had real coffee cups. So at the end of the meeting, we had to wash coffee cups. So I was the newcomer, so I was the coffee cup washer. And and then setting up or whatever, and then eventually they, after I had stayed clean for a little while, they would let me set up the meeting, and occasionally they might let me actually chair it. And my home group was pretty. We had some pretty mature people as far as clean time in there. So they were pretty pretty firm on some foundational rules that they had as far as, like, I mean, I was like, I want to be GSR. They go, yeah, get a year clean. And so then I think it was like the day I had a year clean, they made me alternate. And so I did that kind of stuff, and I went through several tours of duty as a GSR or GSRA or something like that. And my experience, so I'm going to share my experience. I'm going to my personal experience of where I was and what I was doing. I'm also going to share my experience of what I saw and what I've witnessed over the years. So my experience was, I loved service, but service was not something that I did to build unity. It was not something that I built for the better of the fellowship. It was not something that I did to carry the message to the newcomer. It was a place where I went to do battle and piss off as many people as I could. Because, see, the environment that I was raised up with and the group of people that were leading me at the time, every single motion, every single decision had to be prefaced by, well, we got to go back and look at history. So that's a 4-hour group conscience on one motion. Not necessary. I'm in a home group now that has got a ton of years of clean time and a ton of years in service, and it's very calm, it's very peaceful, it's very expedited. It's just bam, 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 we're done, we're out of here. Let's do the business at hand and go. And so that's what I learned. We become what we learn. We become a product of the environment we're around. The environment that I was around is that service was to do battle. Service was that almost nobody is going to agree with us, and we're sure as heck not going to agree with them. So that was what I carried into every meeting that I had. Every area service meeting, everything went like that for years, and it sucked. So then I just got to where I just don't like service. I just got to where it was miserable because everybody was a jackass. If you're listening to this on the CD, you can't see the room full of hundreds of people watching me raise my hand because I was one of the jackasses. And so I kind of backed away from it and really didn't do any service, which resulted in going to fewer meetings, which resulted in train wrecking my whole recovery and most all the relationships in my life. So then when I decided that, things were going a lot better when I was going to meetings and doing things and started coming back to meetings, I joined this home group and started to experience a whole different side to service. And that is the side where service is not like a top-down thing where you get up there and you get the title and now you're standing over everybody and you're in something. No, service is a bottom-up thing. I get in service to serve those and to raise other people up. That is the whole idea of service, is how can I help? It's not about what can you do for me. If it's what you can do for me and you're going to go and get the little name tag that says you're the such and such, then you just signed up to become a jackass. And, if that's what you want, then go do that. But please, for your own good, for my own recovery, and for the sake of Narcotics Anonymous, don't go into service just to get the title so you can be a jackass. Because I served nobody being like that. I did nothing good for Narcotics Anonymous. So, what I did then in my home group was I served my home group, chairing the meeting, setting up chairs, cleaning up, vacuuming, whatever that meant. And we have a retreat every year, and I've done that. I've done, actually ventured back into area service a couple of times, which I enjoy. But what I've learned now, being a little further along, is before I take a service commitment of any kind, whether it is a position, a role as a sponsor, anything like that, I first have to do an inventory of myself and see, what am I good at? What has God really built me and designed me to do? So what I've learned is he did not wire me to be in area service. That's not my strength. We have a ton of people that are really, really good at that. I'm not one of them. I'd go to area, go to Reese, and I'd go, I'm going to do that one day. No, I don't want to do that. I'm not even good at it. What I'll do is I serve my sponsees, I serve my home group and my home group's retreat, and I do those things, and that leaves me very happy. And like Karen talked about, I have a family, I have a business that I have to serve, I have a church that I serve. So I have a lot of other areas that I serve in that help me to grow. And what that does is wherever I serve, it helps me to be a better person in Narcotics Anonymous. It helps me to bring some calmness and some sanity to situations. One of the best ways I've learned from my sponsor-in-law to be of service in my everyday life is when somebody starts to talk about someone, is to say, well, did you know this about them? Well, that guy doesn't. I know, but did you know that guy's been going to the jail for the last 18 years to carry a meeting? Oh, no, I didn't know that. He has. So those kind of things, that's ways that I can be of service, and that's ways that I build unity in our fellowship instead of division. One of the best ways that I can tell if I'm being a good servant or a good leader is if I stop and turn around and see if anybody's following me. Because if there's not, I'm probably not. So, I kind of use that tool to measure, like how well am I doing with my sponsees, and I've had to change some things lately, just in how I handle them. I heard this guy speaking in Montgomery a few weeks ago, and just it kind of urged me on to take some steps in that area of those some of the guys that I sponsor that I really don't sponsor because they don't ever call. So I have had to have that conversation with them. Well, I have a sponsor. Well, no, you really don't. I don't want you to keep going through your recovery and all your conversations going, I got a sponsor when you don't have one. And so I have to be an active participant in my own recovery and in service work, regardless of what it looks like. I can't just say, yeah, I'll sponsor you, and then just all of a sudden my role's over. I have things to do when there's interaction between us, and I have things to do when there's not. Just like, all the people that put in hours and hours of service to put on this event. Behind that is step work and sponsorship both ways, and clean time. And that, we always talk about clean time doesn't matter. Well, it matters to me because I had to become mature enough to be able to know what am I good at? How can I be of service? What does service really look like? Because we all think of service, automatically the thing you think about is a position. That's the first thing I think about when, well, you want to get involved in service? No, I don't. But I already am, and I do want to get involved in service. I don't need a label. I don't need a tag. I mean, I can be like the assistant to the assistant to the assistant, and I'll be happy. And because usually in almost every organization, whether it's Narcotics Anonymous or church or business or wherever, it's not the guys with the titles that actually get the things done. It's the ones that nobody knows about. And for that, I'm grateful to all the people that do that kind of service. The ones that'll walk around this convention center and pick up some trash when they see it. Not because they got a title that says trash picker-upper, it's because they know that's the right thing to do, and we want to make a good impression on this place. And we are all of service to Narcotics Anonymous as long as we're here at this convention. And we need to behave and act accordingly. Otherwise, we become a jackass. And like that dish commercial, nobody wants to be that guy. So even though I've been that guy. But I think that's about all that I have on that, to quote Forrest Gump. Service is a cornerstone to my recovery, and my cornerstone of service looks a lot different than other people's. Some people have a cornerstone that's built up of all of these things they've done and this long service resume. Mine doesn't look like that, and I'm okay with that. There was a time that I wasn't okay with it. There was a time where I thought I had to have and do and be and all of these things. And I'm so glad you're sitting there so I can look at you, because it makes it a lot easier. But golly, that just totally messed me up. So again, I'm starting to repeat myself, so it's probably time to shut up. But I really appreciate the opportunity to get up and share some of that. And I am so grateful to my sponsor, his wife, and just this whole group of people that started from the time I got clean, that kind of took me under their wing and taught me about recovery and service and how to give back. And see, ultimately, that's what service is how to give back. And that was the part I was trying to get to. And it doesn't, for that, we need no title. All we need is some time. And whether it's time when somebody calls to take the time, and there's some men in my life that I watch and I'm really trying to mimic, that when I talk to them, it's like there's nobody else in the world. We can be standing in a room full of people and there is nobody else in the world but me. And they're talking to me and all this stuff's going on and they're listening, they're interacting, their facial expressions all say, I hear you, I feel you, let's talk. And I'm really trying to work on that, because that's the greatest gift that I can give. And that's the greatest gift that I can give to my wife. The absolute greatest gift, and I suck at it. That's the greatest gift that I can give to my kids, and I suck at it, But I'm getting better at it because I've been practicing it with some of my sponsees. So I'll take that. Then that gift of giving will then return dividends at home, where I can sit and I can listen and be an active listener and hear what they're saying, be in the conversation instead of in the phone. And this is the worst thing right here. These things are horrible. They're great. I love the stuff that I can get on it, but they're horrible for building relationships. The best thing I can do to build a relationship is to be in it, is to look in your eyes, to talk to you, to see when your eyes are hurting, to see when they're full of joy, and to be able to reflect that back to you and for you and for me. And that's the kind of service that I really want to be able to do, is to be able to give back the things that so many people, when I was a slobbering newcomer and I was just scared to death, but I was trying to act like I wasn't, and so I had to kind of be the center of attention, and then I had to kind of be loud and all of that stuff that we do. There were some people with some years clean at that time that were just like, they didn't say anything to me. They didn't say, hey, you're being a jackass. They just said, hey, you want to go get some coffee? You want to come over to our apartment and play some dominoes? You want to come hang out? So they taught me how to behave by not telling me, by showing me how to behave. And that's one of the greatest gifts of service I received from people, was teaching me how to be a responsible, productive member of society and of this fellowship. And there was a guy that when I got clean, I was buying shirts. I had to, everywhere, every convention, I had to have a shirt, and I would wear them. But then I saw this guy one time wearing one, and my sponsor at the time was telling me that he had done the same thing. So I kind of quit wearing shirts. I don't have stickers on my car because I don't ever know day to day how I might drive. But the point of that is that I do not want my life to reflect badly on Narcotics Anonymous. If you decide you want to go show your ass in a restaurant and cuss out the waitress, don't wear a Narcotics Anonymous shirt. Wear Billy Bob's Bar and Tavern shirt. Go be a jerk. But that's the kind of things. That's another level of service. If I have not grown up enough to be an adult and act like it in public, I'm not going to wear Narcotics Anonymous stuff so everybody go, oh yeah, well he's one of them. The ones I want to see are those people that are walking around the parking lot and they pick up an empty water bottle and somebody will see their shirt and they go, oh, he's one of them. Same shirt, same person, whole different perspective. And I think that's the power that we can bring to this through our own maturity, but we're sharing that with others, and that's the giving it away. It's giving away these life lessons that we've learned in recovery about how to just be good people. How to treat people with respect, how to be kind, how to listen, because it's so much easier to be rude and obnoxious. But it's so difficult to be kind and considerate. And if I go and start doing things because I want the title, want the position, want the recognition, not only am I most likely going to fail at it, but there's also going to be a huge resentment built up in it. And so, I try to do the things that, I like to cook. I don't like to cook for 100 people all the time. I learned that, but I love it. I like it. Is it always fun cooking for 100 people? No. Is it always fun being of service? No. But service doesn't spell fun. It spells work, and it spells sacrifice, and it's whether we're doing it here or at home or at work or wherever. It's the giving back that's not fun. Everybody goes, well, I don't like to do that. Well, I don't like to do anything. I like to watch TV. I don't like to take out the trash. I don't like to mow the grass. I don't like to get up and go to work. I don't like to get up at 5 and go to the gym. I don't like to do any of that stuff, but I do it because it's good for me. The things that are good for me are hard and difficult. The things that are not easy or that are not good for me are going to be easy. I heard this guy say one time, nobody winds up at the top of the hill by accident. Nobody ever gets up at the top of the hill and goes, how did I get here? No, we get there because that's where we want to go, so we set a goal to get there and we begin working that way. And it's the same way in recovery. I want to be like, I want what y'all have to offer. And if I want what you have, then I've got to be willing to take those steps. And those steps sometimes are hard and they're difficult. But if I'm going to become a better person, I've got to make those hard choices and take those hard things to do, because the easy ones will just lead me right back to using. That's the bottom line. And that's it'll wreck my marriage, it'll wreck my family, it'll wreck my recovery, it'll wreck my business if I do what I want to do, what I feel like doing. So I can't walk around through life doing what feels good, because that's kind of how I got here, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm positive. Yeah. That's how I got here. Anyway, thank you again. It's been quite an honor to be here, and thanks for letting me ramble on up here for a little while.
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.